I'm not really a sneakerhead, never have been. Before I got into fashion, there was one pair of shoes that I would always just default to. I didn't even know what the pair was called exactly. It's this pair of Adidas Derrick Rose shoes, which I've just recently found out is called the Lakeshore 2.0. Since getting into fashion, I've made quite a few footwear acquisitions, and I'd like to share the state of my collection as of June 2023. These first 3 pairs are from before I started getting into fashion. First up, my oldest pair of shoes from way back in November of 2018, a pair of Vans Ballistic Nylon Eras. I used to be a huge fan of Vans. I had 3 pairs of shoes from them before these ones, a pair of slip-ons, a pair of old schools, and a pair of authentics. My big problem with Vans shoes is that the sole inevitably separates right where the shoe bends from your toes bending. This also happened to my Eras, so I had to get them glued and stitched. I do love the look of these shoes, but another problem with them is the tongue. It refuses to stay in the middle, even when you have the laces go through the tongue slit. As you can perhaps tell, I'm not really as fond of these shoes and of Vans in general anymore. My second oldest pair is the Birkenstock Arizona from early 2022. This is the classic Birk sandal and has a cork footbed and a black Birko floor upper. I didn't really know it at the time, but it turns out Birko floor is a synthetic leather material. I'm not super fond of faux leather, as I've had a poor experience with a pair of faux leather call-it spring shoes before, but so far so good with my Birks. They're comfortable, convenient, and look great, although my feet do seem to be too narrow for them. They rest kinda slanted in them, and my 5 toes end up in the area that's meant for just 4 toes. Next up, my only pair of formal shoes, a pair of Bryson Oxfords from local brand Bristol. I picked these up for a wedding but have not worn them since. I love the look of them, but I don't know when I'll ever be able to wear them again. When I started on my fashion journey, the first pair of shoes I acquired was this pair of Adidas Advantage shoes. I talked about this in my first fashion overhaul video. I wanted a versatile all-white pair of shoes. The Stan Smith was my first choice, but it was a bit too pricey, so I settled on what are essentially budget Stan Smiths. When the first lockdowns occurred in March of 2020, I had to stop playing basketball. I recently got back into playing, but my old shoes had become brittle from lack of use, so I needed a new pair. All of the basketball shoes I've ever used in my life have been budget ones. I just picked whatever was cheapest. I didn't know anything about performance, and I didn't really care. But this time, I dove deep and watched a ton of reviews on YouTube from the likes of the Soul Brothers, Foot Dr. Zach, Wear Testers, and Tommy Liu. I learned about things like traction, cushioning, containment, and heel-to-toe transitions. I wanted a pair of shoes that was actually a good performer for a change. I wanted to try something a little more high-end, like a signature shoe from a professional athlete. I also wanted this pair of shoes to be usable outside of basketball, so it also needed to look good in casual outfits. I wanted something bold with lots of color so that I could use it as a statement piece in an outfit. I looked online and got really enamored with the TRC Blaze Court shoes from Puma. I particularly wanted one of these 2 colorful colorways. Unfortunately, there are not a lot of local Puma stores, so I couldn't try them on. And even Nike and Adidas shoes proved difficult to find, despite the numerous Nike and Adidas stores, because most of them just didn't have stock. Nike stores in particular always had pathetic stock. The store with the widest selection I could find was Sports Central at the Podium. There I tried on a bunch of shoes, mostly Adidas ones, Hardens, Donovan Mitchells, Dames. I did want to try some Nike ones, but the salesperson did not re-emerge from putting away all of the Adidas shoes I tried on. Honestly, all of the shoes I tried felt the same. I couldn't notice any of the cushioning or fit differences that the review videos were talking about. Because of this, I decided to just settle for another budget shoe. There was one I'd had my eye on and did actually perform well according to reviews, and that's the Flyby Mid 3 from Nike. I did also get to try this one on at Sports Central. It was the only Nike shoe I got to try on. The colorway I got is not as flashy as I would have liked, but I do still think it's a really good looking shoe, even in casual outfits. So how does it perform? Honestly, I don't know what to tell you. It's a shoe. It's comfortable and I can play basketball in it. I've also started running recently and I wear them for that too. I haven't encountered any issues. Yeah, I cannot be a basketball shoe YouTuber. This is another pair I bought for a wedding. My own. Yeah, I wore these Doc Martens 1460 Soft TT boots on my wedding day. I might talk about my wedding outfit in a future video. Let me know if you'd be interested in hearing about that. Anyway, this is my first ever pair of boots. It's a pretty different look for me, but I think it's a great one. They are a bit more of a fussy wear. I need long, thick socks for them to be comfortable. Maybe over time they'll break in and get more comfortable. New Balance is pretty huge right now, and I really wanted to add a pair of NBs into my collection. I'd have loved to get something from the Made in the USA or UK lines, some version of the 990s or 991 or something, but those shoes get really expensive. I monitor listings for secondhand New Balances on Carousel, and I stumbled upon one for a pair of 2002Rs in gray and white with orange accents. The 2002R to me is a similar type of shoe to the 990 line, but it's made in Asia, so it's not as expensive. This particular pair was listed as brand new. I arranged to meet up with the owner and found out that they had mistakenly ordered 2 pairs from JD Sports UK. They also told me that this pair was exclusive to said retailer. The shoes seemed to be in perfect condition, and the price, 4,500 pesos, was really good, so I pulled the trigger. I absolutely love these shoes. I love the quintessential New Balance gray, and the shoes are super comfortable. I am fully on the New Balance hype train. In preparation for a beach trip, I recently went looking for an appropriate pair of beach shoes. I have a pair of super cheap, unbranded aqua shoes that aren't remarkable in any way but do accomplish the job. I initially thought about picking up something better like these Speedo Xanpas or these Adidas Terex Jawpaws. I later decided that I would be better off picking up a pair of sandals and just sticking with my old aqua shoes. I looked at a ton of options from Merrell, Crocs, Nike, Adidas, New Balance, Birkenstock, and Puma. I looked at and tried on both clogs and sandals. I didn't want a pair of slides though. I really wanted that backstrap and ideally the kind of old school dad vibe. If I had infinite money, the unequivocal pick would be the Suicoke Wake sandals. These are beautiful and there are a ton of models from Suicoke that I would be just thrilled to own. Unfortunately, the offerings from this brand are very expensive. I eventually settled on the Timberland Garrison Web Trail sandals. I love the look of these, but I have encountered some issues with the strap system. The back strap doesn't really align with the strap it buckles to when you walk with these sandals. That same area also kind of chafes the bone that protrudes above my ankles, which doesn't really become a problem unless I really focus on it. Overall, I'm still very happy with the sandals. There are a couple of shoes that I'm no longer that happy with and might replace. I'm talking about the Vans Eras and Adidas Advantage. As I mentioned, I'm just not that into Vans anymore. I don't find myself getting excited to put the Eras on. As for the Adidas pair, it's not really about the shoes themselves. It's about the pairs I've added since I picked them up. I have a lot of white dominant pairs like the Nike Flyby Mid 3 and New Balance 2002R that I just like more, making the Advantage feel a bit redundant. There's another reason too, but to understand it, we have to talk about a certain genre of sneaker that I would call the stereotypical streetwear shoe. Every brand has their own, it seems, and to me, they're basically interchangeable. It might be a bit of heresy to say this, but I consider Dunks, Air Force Ones, Jordan 1 Lows, and 550s to be in this category. That's not to say that I think they're all identical. They're different, of course, but I personally wouldn't want to buy 2 pairs of this same style, even from different brands. I'd consider that a waste of money, and I'm also not hating on the style. In fact, what I'm getting at here is that I would like to add this style of shoe to my collection. And to finally close out this point, the second reason I'm considering unloading my Adidas Advantage shoes is that a lot of these stereotypical streetwear shoes are also very white dominant. I think I'll probably skip all of the aforementioned shoes, the Dunks, Jordan 1s, 550s, because they're all pretty hyped up, so they can get expensive and hard to find. I've been looking really hard at the EX89 from Asics. I tried it on in a couple of different colorways, but I'm not super enamored with either of them. In a perfect world, I'd get the Kith designed EX89 in New York Knicks colors or the EX89 Nagino, but neither are accessible to me. Another contender in this genre is the Slipstream from Puma. This is available in a lot of colorways, but none of them have so far really stood out to me. Know any other contenders I should be looking at? The last type of shoe I'm looking to possibly add to my collection is a performance running shoe. As I said earlier, I've just been using my basketball shoes for running and have encountered zero issues. But maybe I might have a better experience with a real, dedicated pair of running shoes. I tried doing a bit of research, but got kind of overwhelmed with terminology like pronation, supination, and the like. I didn't want to do the same thing with the basketball shoes, where I spent so much time deep in research, but didn't end up making use of any of it. I may just pick up some random budget pair, preferably from a brand I don't own anything from yet, like Asics or Hoka. What do you think? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. And that's my humble shoe collection as of June 2023. What do you think about it? Is there an essential piece missing? How does it compare with your collection? Let us know in the comments. Also, I have Instagram now, which is being managed by my wife because I'm oh so terrible at social media. All I contribute are the captions and myself in the shots. I'll leave the link in the description if you want to support her influencer journey with a follow. There's fit pics and fun little reels over there with way more to come. Thanks for watching.